Even if you start your journey with great intent and great motivation, but if you do not avoid some very common mistakes, it has the potential to undermine the entire purpose of your journey. Zoology optional is no exception. It is one of the most popular optional subject in the science stream, and it is taken by a very wide range of candidates. Obviously, the graduates of zoology are definitely going to prefer this subject at the top of their choices of optional, and most of the zoology graduates, they do take zoology optional. But apart from that, this optional is also taken by those who have done their graduation or masters in life sciences or biological sciences, or sometimes even in botany, microbiology, biochemistry. And this once used to be very popular subject among the medical doctors, among the veterinary surgeons, and so on and so forth. And the reason is that the subject has got very well defined syllabus. It looks like an extensive syllabus, but the thing is that every single topic and subtopic has been laid out very clearly by the UPSC. The sources are pretty well available, pretty sufficient, and apart from that, if you do reasonably well in this subject is very rewarding also. So it comes as no surprise that a very wide range of the students take this subject. But at the same time, is that intention of maximizing the score in the optional subject does get materialized or does not get materialized. It depends on how you manage to avoid some of the most common and damaging mistakes in this subject. In this video, I am going to outline 11 such mistakes which creep into most of the candidates' preparation journey, and they undermine the preparation in the sense that they will prevent you from getting what you could have gotten from this optional subject. Make sure you watch this until the end. The last one is going to surprise you because it goes slightly against the common wisdom, but every single mistake is equally damaging. So just stay patient, go through all the mistakes and make sure that none of these have a place in your preparation journey. Let's start right away. The first mistake and most common mistake is not emphasizing on building concept. So when you are not focusing on building concept, and if you think that zoology or any such optional subject is something where you can get the right content, you can read the content twice, thrice, or whatever number of times you want, and then you will be internalizing this and you will be able to reproduce it in the examination. It does not work that way. Somehow the UPSC main examination has this habit of twisting the question in such a manner that at least half of the questions will be extracting your understanding. So if you have not built your understanding, it is going to be very hard to answer the questions satisfactorily. Besides, there is a limit to how much facts we can memorize. You can always test yourself by even trying to memorize 3 pages of extremely factual material, and you will realize that there is a limit to the amount of fact that we can retain from any piece of information. Therefore, focus on building concepts. Now, how do we build concepts? The ideal way is to start from senior secondary school books. It can be NCERT or it can be any book that is written for pre-medical entrance examination. In previous videos, I have also covered what kind of books should be studied, and you can always go through the zoology playlist in our channel and you can see my recommendation for books and you can pick up that basic book that I have recommended. But more or less, your starting point should be NCERT biology textbook for 11th and 12th. Go through all the chapters which are there for zoology, and then you should come to the standard sources. So there has to be a sequential approach. You cannot directly start with graduation level books or advanced level book, and you cannot directly start from the study material. Even if it is evolution study material, we presume that before touching our study material, you have built your 12th level basics. Another option, if you do not like going through NCERT that much, and if you have at any point of time in your entire journey prepared for medical entrance examination, so you must be having the medical entrance examination related book. But please make sure that those are books rather than a study material from your coaching classes which you received when you were actually going through coaching for medical entrance. So a lot of students will come to me and they will ask me, I have got material of this X Academy or this Y Academy, should I go through that? I would say no. because the study material is always a distilled account of the subject matter. It is never an account of the entire subject with an ambition to build concept in the mind of the student. That is something which happens only with the textbook. So make sure that you are going through textbook, either NCERT or any textbook meant for pre-medical entrance examination. After that, go to the standard book, and when you are navigating through these books, make sure that you are jotting down your concepts as you are absorbing the concept. You are jotting down the key example and key facts, so that along the journey you are consolidating everything that you are learning, that you are getting on a piece of paper. That concretizes your understanding a great deal. Many a times we refrain from doing that because it is a little harder, and we pay the price by having very diluted, very jumbled kind of concept. So this is how you can avoid mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is very, very common if a student has done BSc in zoology or MSc in zoology, and more so if you have attended BSc classes or MSc classes in one of the central universities, including Delhi University. So somewhere this academic arrogance comes in, that I'm a graduate of this and this college, I'm a graduate of this and this university, so I do not need to especially prepare for this subject. This subject is my own, and all that I need to do is to basically prepare general studies. The fact of the matter is, ऐसा नहीं होता. This is a very specific examination. In graduation or post-graduation, you had the luxury of the entire syllabus being broken into so many papers, and then these papers will be divided across the semesters. And even within the semester examination, there will be a gap between examination, and that will give you ample time to go through the material that you were going through. Here, the entire syllabus that you have studied during your graduation honors level, the entire syllabus is going to be put in front of you within the span of one day across two sittings of the examination, paper 1 and paper 2. Therefore, a very specialized, very concise kind of preparation is needed. And by concising, we do not mean that you sacrifice the key facts, key understanding, and then you say that I have concised it. So, irrespective where you attended your graduation, which subject you attended graduation, please bear in mind that you need to prepare separately, you need to prepare dedicatedly for the civil service or the forest service examination. It is not going to be a byproduct of your BSc or your MSc studies, even if you have been a university topper. Now, having studied the subject in graduation is an advantage. I am not discounting that. But you need to follow a proper strategy, a proper plan, and then you need to act upon that plan, which is in alignment with the demands of the civil service examination, and not merely relying on what you have already done during your graduation. So please do not kind of keep yourself in this fool's paradise, that because I have done my BSc very well, I do not need any specialized preparation. You do need, if you want to clear, and if you simply want to prepare, clearing it is not the burning ambition, then well, you are free to prepare in any way you want. Okay. Now, not reading from the standard sources. Not reading from the standard sources basically means that we will try to find something on the internet, maybe Wikipedia. Now, we will put a query in front of the any generative AI like ChatGPT or something, and then it will churn out something for us. And then we try to memorize all of that. Number one, it will not give you the understanding. If you do not have understanding, your range of attempting question in the main examination will be severely limited. Okay, even though a number of selected candidates, they go on to say that I relied on internet sources, I relied on ChatGPT, and so on and so forth. But remember that their utility is more like a supplement. They cannot be the mainstay of your zoology optional preparation. You have to rely on standard sources. That will basically mean that either you are being taught by a set of professors who have relied on standard sources, who have compiled from the standard sources, and then they are sharing it with you, or you have to yourself undertake your journey using the standard books. So far as standard books are concerned, I have already shared my recommendation of books as recently as 5 months back. So the list of books, they do not change, at least for now, until the examination changes its nature very much. So you can rely on my recommendation of books. If you can make use of those books, it will be great, but please rely on standard sources. If you are not attending our classes, either online or offline, do not run after evolution notes, because all the evolution notes which are out there in the market, because we do not sell our notes outside of our classroom courses. So I just want to make it clear that all our notes are meant to supplement what we are doing in the class. So these notes are not in itself the complete account of what you need to do for this optional. They are selective. Besides, whatever is in the market, so they are pretty outdated also. What they do, that they keep changing the year and they keep selling it to you, making you believe that this is the most recent one. The fact is that we do not sell it on Amazon, we do not sell it on Flipkart, we do not sell it even from our website as of now. Okay, so do not run after even our notes if you are not doing our course, because half of the things we do in our classes, half of the things will be there in somebody's class notes. And then for supplement purpose, for reference purpose, we give the printed supplement. So do not make what is meant to be a supplement the main force of your preparation, because it was meant to be a supplement. It was meant to complement what is being done in the class. So moral of the story is that go back to the standard sources, and there are textbooks which have done amazing justice to the topics which are mentioned in the civil service examination. And when so much is at stake, you can imagine civil service main examination has got its own demand, and you are up against students taking any and every optional. They might have prepared at an excellent level, and you are there with some haphazard sources like something from internet, something from ChatGPT, something from notes available in the market, something even from your pre-medical preparation. Then with that kind of haphazardly organized coverage, organized material, you cannot expect higher score. And then you will later complain that this subject is not giving me higher score. But did you give this subject the high level of commitment? Answer is mostly no. So you give your best, then you can expect anything in the range of 300 and above. If you just put haphazardly brought together preparation, then the result is also going to be somewhere in the range of 230, 240. And this kind of optional score does not take you much far in the overall scheme of the examination. And I'm saying all of these things very clearly so that mistakes do get highlighted as mistake, rather than you think that, okay, this is just a benign lapse. It is not a benign lapse. It has every potential to derail your preparation. So be very careful about it. Next mistake, not making notes. Writing hand notes, making notes on a blank piece of paper is hard. Most of us mentally run away from it. Most of us seek validation on internet. Lot of people will who have gotten selected, they will say, I did not make notes. And we think, yes, they also did not make notes. I am also not making notes. But please understand, whatever you write on a piece of paper after going through a material, that is a textbook or anything, that not only gets written on a piece of paper, that also gets written on your brain, on your mind. That means recalling that is going to be much easier. If you are a serious candidate in your optional subject, it can be any optional subject. Ideally speaking, for every single topic that is mentioned in the syllabus, you need to have handwritten notes. Even if it is very synoptical, even if it is having only the keywords, key facts, key concepts, but everything brought together by the processing of your mind while your mind was working with that material, that is so vital that it will be immediately reducing the requirement for revision. एक बार आप notes बना लोगे तो please understand that you will be needing to go through these notes only twice, max thrice, and you will be able to go through these notes as revision very, very fast. So please make sure that you are going through the notes which are made by you only and not any other notes. And just do not delude yourself into thinking that whatever you have underlined, whatever you have highlighted, or some post-it label here, some post-it label there, and that makes your notes. It does not make your note. And I have seen a lot of students preparing that way, and then they come to the test series and they suffer a lot. So make sure that every single topic that is mentioned in the syllabus is broken into a specific dimensions according to the questions that can be asked, and on every single dimension you have at least one pager. If you have one pager, you will be able to expand it into 20 marks answer, 15 marks answer, and if you are writing a 10 marks answer, then it does not even need expansion. So the idea is that you break a topic into dimensions. Each dimension should ideally give you one question, and then for every dimension, you need to have one page of handwritten material. If you have that, that is your notes. You do not have to beautify your notes. You do not have to make extended notes like the way you used to do in your graduation. And for God's sake, do not photocopy by hand. What is photocopying by hand? You open 2, 3 books, and then you copy one paragraph from here, one paragraph from there, another paragraph from there. So that is photocopying by hand. That is not note making. Note making is like you read it, then you observe, okay, this is the key fact, this is the key fact, this is an example, this is a diagram. Then in bare minimum words, you bring it on your notebook. Now your brain has worked upon it. Every single word that is appearing on your notebook is a deliberate one. You have chosen that word to come on your notebook. When that kind of deliberate thinking goes into your note making, one, your notes are going to be much shorter. The entire zoology optional you can finish in 800 to 1000 pages. Only 800 to 1000 pages of handwritten. And mind it that one handwritten page you can easily, very, very easily, you can master in 10 minutes when you are revising it. And if you have written an A4 sheet on both the sides, so one side takes certainly not more than 5 minutes. So if you have put it on 1000 sides, okay, so 1000 sides में अगर आपने notes बनाए हैं तो 5000 minutes is what you are looking at. Divide 5000 by 60 and you get to know how many hours you need. So it is barely 60 hours, 70 hours. Can you imagine 70 hours में पूरी zoology optional revise हो सकती है? हो सकती है if you have made your notes this way. So making notes is a non-negotiable thing. It is hard. 90% of the people do not have self-made notes in their optional subject. They depend on coaching classes notes. They depend on anything or everything, but not self-made notes. And that is a big differentiator between someone who's getting 300 above and someone who's stuck around 230 to 40. Okay. And then notes are mere synopsis of the facts. Notes are just compilation of the key concept, the key example, key facts like name of proteins, name of something else. So notes bring everything together so that when you need to revise, you quickly go through it and in 5 minutes time, everything gets refreshed. But then you need to expand that into answer. And how do you build an answer based on those facts, those concepts and those examples? Only when you have practiced. So you have to write 2 short notes every single day of your preparation. Let us say that your entire coverage is taking 6 months time, 180 days, 190 days. So for 190 days, every day make a promise to yourself that not only will I make notes, but I'll also be using the same information that I have put in the notes as to write answers. So जो information आप notes में compile कर रहे हो ना, so you have to use those information, those bits of information to write proper answer in your optional subject as well. ये बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी होगा, ठीक है ना? So every day 2 answers. So 180 days में you will be writing at least 360 answers. If you can write 3 answers a day, ideally speaking, that will take not more than 45 minutes. Initially, when you are writing answer, you should ideally give yourself 15 minutes time, okay, for each answer. So 45 minutes, 3 answers you have written because UPSC asks you either 10 marker or 12.5 marker or 15 marker or 20 marker. So even if you are writing 20 marker, how much time you will actually need in the examination? 10, 12 minutes. Right now you are in the preparation stage, give yourself 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, you are writing one answer. In 45 minutes, you write 3 answers. In 180 days, you would have written 540 answers. And 540 answers are something which you, if write and if you revise, you will realize that in your actual main examination, nearly 90% of the questions are those which you have already written answers for. Now imagine what a good situation it will be, that 90% of the questions which are printed in your question paper are the ones for which you have already answered. And that is what answer writing will give you the confidence to handle the question in the examination. So, notes making is level 1, answer writing is level 2. Lot of people start writing answer without making notes, and that is a terrible mistake because then you are forced to mug your answers. Now, ask yourself, can you mug 550 answers? Answer is no. You can revise your notes very easily because they are very, very concise. And if you can do that, it's terrific. So please do that and do not merely rely on the notes, on the answers alone. Make notes, write answers. That will be the thing. Moving next, diagrams, especially those who do not come from zoology background. Like think of yourself as someone with microbiology in your graduation, medicine in your graduation, dental science in your graduation, and then you will tend to run away from diagrams. But please understand that paper 1 section A, where you study animal diversity, invertebrates and vertebrates including comparative anatomy, is largely dependent on good neat diagrams, not the textbookish diagram. The diagram which a student draws, where the student is focusing on what needs to be shown and not on everything else. Now, that kind of diagram is going to be the foundational thing based on which the examiner is going to assess you. You can write any amount of description, any quality of description, but if there is a structural description, and if it is not accompanied by good clean diagram, it is not going to serve much of your purpose so far as getting a score is concerned. So make sure that you are practicing diagrams. Every structural diagram, if you are not from this subject, must be practiced thrice before you enter your examination hall. That is very, very vital. And diagrams are required. Once you get into this habit of making diagrams, you will be using these diagrams in cell bio also, in physiology also, in embryology also, even in certain topics of evolutionary biology like evolution of horse, evolution of elephant, evolution of man. So, in so many places you will be able to use diagrams. So, making diagram is a superpower that you can add to your geology preparation. Do not run away from this. Seventh mistake, running away from factual rigor. I am kind of tired to see answers in the test series where the students run away from mentioning example, run away from mentioning the name of the protein, name of the enzyme, and that simply dilutes the quality of answer. And what do you think? A diluted answer will get diluted score. That will basically mean that the score is very, very suboptimal. Do not let that happen to you. So, when you are preparing your optional, make sure that for every key phenomenon, you have two good examples. Pay attention to terminology. This is an optional subject. Nobody forced you to take this optional subject. But when you have taken this optional subject, you have to speak the language of this optional subject. And when you are speaking the language of the subject, you cannot run away from terminology. So, all the key terms are essential. 2 example per phenomenon is needed. And when you are dealing with biochemistry, cell bio, molecular genetics and all, do not forget to remember the name of the enzymes, the name of the proteins. They will give your answer the needed amount of punch that will attract more marks than your competitor. And after all, it is a competition. So, if your competitor is getting 295, it is your duty to get 305 minimum. So, in that spirit, do not run away from the facts. But considering that this subject is overtly factual, we have to do ratta and all that. No, I started with the biggest failure in this subject is not building concept. So 80% of this subject is about building concept, but yes, 20% will require you to remember terminology, example, name of proteins, name of enzymes and so on. So वो भी हमें ध्यान में रखना है. 8. Not taking help when needed. So, before you start your preparation, diagnose yourself. By diagnosing yourself, you ask yourself, what is my knowledge gap in the overall framework of civil service examination? Do I need teaching? Do I need someone to explain the things to me in a way that is required for the civil service examination? Because I know the subject, but I know kind of superficially, or I know vaguely, or I know certain topics in excessive detail, but most of the topics I'm having a sketchy idea about. It means you need some sort of teaching. If that is your decision, jump immediately to implementation. Do not delay that. It means you need some kind of help, go for a coaching. If you think, no, I have good knowledge of every single topic or at least 90% of the topics, then you go with your own preparation. And then perhaps for answer writing, for value enrichment, you can take external help. But diagnose yourself before you start preparation. Do not experiment with your attempts, because the biggest price that you pay with this experimentation is in general good in life, but here if you experiment, the biggest price that you pay, that you waste one precious year of your youth. And then of course with failure also comes certain dent to our confidence, certain dent to our enthusiasm. So do not let that happen to you. Diagnose yourself, there is no harm taking help, and if you are confident, then go ahead with your preparation, and at a later point of time for advanced value enrichment and all, you can come for some kind of help. We have all sort of courses, you can explore them, but the idea is that if you need help, go for help, and do not delay this, because the more you delay, the more you are lagging behind in that particular year's attempt. So taking help if needed is another very important thing. Lot of students delay that. Next is not revising enough. Lot of people have made their notes, but they do not revise it enough. My thing is that if you have made notes, revising 3 times is not going to be very hard. Do your math and you will be understanding. Like let us say that if you have compiled the entire notes, right? If you have compiled the entire notes in 1,000 pages, and each page needs only 5 hours. So you need almost I would say 70, 80 hours, 80 hours to revise the entire syllabus. What does 80 hour mean? If you are sitting for 8 hours for your zoology optional revision, in 10 days time you have revised once. I am saying 3 cycles of revision. Most of the candidates are unable to revise properly because they have not made notes. They do not agree, and by the second or third attempt, they are also not having the enthusiasm or energy to work on the revision. But remember, revision is needed, at least 3x revision. And the shorter is your material to revise, the greater is the chance of getting revised. And not only that, you can perhaps, depending on your need, you can perhaps revise it 4 or 5 times also, because ultimately it is a game of 70, 80 hours. You will be easily able to pull through. Okay. So revising enough is very, very important. 10th mistake is not practicing enough. By practicing enough, I mean to say that in your entire preparation journey, first and foremost, in your own simulated condition at home, you should have written 500 answers. Okay, in your preparation. Even if you are doing coaching, every day 2-3 answers we have to write. And then after you have faced the prelim examination, you have to go through a test series where at least 8 to 10 tests you are writing in examination hall like condition. Like in one sitting of 3 hours, you are forcing yourself to finish the entire paper. So that is practicing enough. So make notes, write answers at home, and then join the test series. That will maximize your performance. And last one that is going to surprise you is excessive reliance on PYQ. In the last 5 years, everyone talks about PYQs. Well, understand that PYQs are going to give you almost 50% of the questions, 50% of the themes get repeated from the last 10 years. I totally agree that 40 to 50% of the themes are going to be repeated from what has been asked in the last 10 years. But what about the remaining 50%? So, your only guarantee to good preparation and good performance is when you have covered the syllabus, you have made notes on the entire syllabus, concise notes, and finally you have written 500 plus answers, plus you are doing test series, and you have managed to revise your handmade notes at least thrice, and these handmade notes should ideally be made either in the classroom when you are attending the class, or when you are attending online class, or you should have made this when you are essentially referring to standard sources. So जब आप ये करोगे ना, then your entire syllabus will be done. PYQ means you are halfway through. So PYQ is important, but as the last thing. PYQ is not your lunch. PYQ is the dessert that comes after the lunch. Okay, once you have prepared the entire syllabus, once you have written 500 answers, when you are taking the last leg of your preparation, that is when you should look onto PYQ to identify कि okay 50% तो यहाँ से आएगा, rest 50% का मैंने buffer तैयार किया हुआ है by covering the entire syllabus. So these are 11 mistakes which you have to avoid if you are really serious. And why not? I mean, if you are preparing, if you are giving time, effort, energy, then you have to be serious about the outcome. And to get outcome, you are doing all the things right. Just make sure that you are avoiding these 11 mistakes. Summary of my solutions. Start from the basics and then go sequentially and purposefully. Like at every stage, you need to have a purpose कि अभी मुझे understanding build करनी है, अभी मुझे अब core concept और key example, key facts को master करना है that way. Second, even if you have a background in the subject, prepare specifically for civil service or IFS examination, then no shortcut, either proper coaching or textbooks, no notes, no internet, no chat GPT. These are small little fill up things. They are not the mainstay of your preparation. Whenever you are covering topic, make sure that you are making your own notes. Write at least 2 short notes a day and have them evaluated, or at least against a certain benchmark like model answer or something. You have to self evaluate. तो आप देख सकते हो कि अच्छा ठीक है, ये अगर मॉडल आंसर है तो मैं यहाँ तक लिख रहा हूँ, ये फैक्ट मेरे से छूट गया, ये कॉन्सेप्ट छूट गया. So that is something. 3 answers a day. Okay, and then practice each structural diagram at least 3 times. Master 2 key example wherever needed. Focus on the name of genes, molecules and proteins. That will be very helpful. Then assess yourself, and if there is any need of help, get help very fast. 3 times revision is minimum, but if your notes are concise enough, you can go for 4 or 5 times. That will only increase the quality of your retention, quality of your answer. 500 answers must be written by you. And lastly, study the whole syllabus and not the PYQs. These are the 11 problems, and these are the crux of solutions that I wanted to tell you. So, well, that is all in this video. I hope you get some insight into what not to do when you are preparing for this optional subject. Till we meet again, goodbye everyone and good luck.